Greetings, bloggers, vloggers, followers, and potters. Dustin here from Dustin's Dynasty with another edition of this week's vlog. So, if you haven't been following me, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. My name's Dustin. I'm in my late 30s. I'm autistic. I have other mental health challenges. Um, I've been living independently for 6 years, finally on the right track of being that way. I create create daily, sometimes twice daily blogs, and I write very much a lot of, I do a vlog every week on YouTube and Spotify and other platforms to share things. Still doing well, mostly well this week. It's been a challenge, but we've been pushing through. And we're keeping strong, we're pushing through. My father's doing somewhat well, and he's still pushing through. For those who've been following the update on my father's status, he had a bad brain injury about 3 months ago, and it's definitely been pushing a lot. So but we're resilient, we keep pushing, and that's what we're here to talk about today. I've been doing this vlog for over 4 years now, and it really shows that I am resilient in keeping it up. And we have over 300 episodes now of the vlog. We used to do twice a week, two a week, but now we're down to one. And I really like doing this content. So, I'm hoping that you keep going and keep making it the best, that it can be. This week, we're going to talk about being resilient and dealing with coping skills. So, throughout the past, I would say several weeks to about recently, um, I have been struggling with coping with what I must endure in the course of the week. Um, as you know, I work part time and I go to a day program 1 day a week. And there have been some changes in the past 6 months regarding how I get to and from there. And while those changes aren't always as bad as I make them out to be, I overthink about them and I live too much in the past for so many reasons I have. And while I'm starting to be resilient, starting to realize that I'm more able to handle them than what I think I'm capable of, there are still challenges that come with it. And there are still challenges that come with other things in the course of the week, in environments that I cannot control the external controls of. So I've been working on mostly somewhat more so coping skills, but more so wellness tools, being resilient, and having a wellness recovery action plan. And that's what I'm working on at my day services since returning back after a short pause in June, after thinking I didn't want to go, but then I realized I was really not well. And so I am there working on a wellness recovery action plan. And one of the things is it's working at it piece by piece and little by little. But part of it is I have to learn how to cope with things that are challenging for me. There could be many things, um, but riding the bus back and forth to work or to day services can be challenging at times because there's a lot of unexpected, unknown turns. There's a lot of things I don't always know, and it's always hard to navigate with other people too. So there's several factors that make it challenging. Um, there's part of me that always wants to believe that I can go back to believing the way it used to be, but the way that it used to be isn't useful, isn't healthy, and I'm starting to move past that slowly. It's not as fast as I would like, but I'm learning to give myself grace in the process. But I've been working very diligently on learning what coping skills and what I can use to help me in the process of learning to cope with those challenges. Not just in that realm, but when I'm at home and the thoughts are ruminating and looping and they're not stopping, and I constantly think about things I want to change or think I can change, and I really can't. And let's just say it's Saturday afternoon, for example, and I have these thoughts and they're just so persistent and so intrusive, and they just won't stop. And so I have to learn how to find things to do that I enjoy, find things that I like, find things that are going to be able to use to be able to cope with the situation. How am I going to think about something else? Because I reached out to one of my supports about it over the past week, and they said, think about something else. Well, it's kind of hard to think about something else when, number one, it's all your life, spend most of your adult life, and number two, what is it that you think about? What is it that you do? You have to find what is it that you do, because we have to remember too, in my life, that this is the first time since being independent over 6 years ago that I've actually been well enough to even think about doing something else and not have a racing mind, racing thoughts, pacing thoughts, constant mania, those sort of things. So I'm actually well enough to do good things and healthy things and things that are more outside of the box, more outside of the norm, and more, what people do, what people do that are mentally well and can do things, but also being autistic and having a host of other challenges. What does that look like for me, who needs that constant engagement? Now, I wouldn't say I always need that engagement. Sometimes it's like today. Like, it's been a long week. I've been out every day doing something, and I come home and I ordered dinner and I ate it, and I took an hour and a half nap. And that's perfectly fine because I was up at 6 p.m. and there's plenty of daylight left. There's plenty of time left to do what I need to do and do things that I enjoy on a Friday night, such as recording this vlog. But and I'm okay with that. But that's just a piece of it. So resting is another piece of that. Maybe getting more relaxed, being able to relax more and not be so pressured into doing so much that you're just going to explode and not be able to cope with anything. But part of finding what a coping skill is that works for you is also one that's, you have to know what's not going to work for you. So I had a list, and I've been, I've been in therapy, or I've been doing research at day services about coping skills this week, and it's finding, pulling and prodding what works for me and what doesn't. So there's things that, hey, maybe I want to try that, but so you put that on a list of things you may want to try. But then there's things, you may know for certain that you're going to do well and you're going to enjoy and you're going to have a good time about it and you're going to be your best about it. So you'll do those. But it's finding what those things are. And then the hardest part of it, and I have to say, this is the hardest part I'm finding, and as it's evolving to get better as time goes on, is actually deploying those coping skills. Because if you can make a list to the cows come home, and it can be great and wonderful, and it can make life so well, but if you don't put that into action, it's not going to let you get anywhere in life. I think that's my hardest thing, is I make all these great ideas and I think of all these great things, but I don't actually put the words to action. So it can be hard to do that because I don't think about, what can I do in the moment? What can I do to move on and live in the moment? Live fabulous and fearless, as someone was saying on Facebook today, one of my Facebook friends. What is that like? What if I'm worrying about or trying to wait for the perfect moment or just obsessing over things I have no control of? What can I do in that present moment to live fabulous and fierce and have the best life that I want? How can I live in a way that isn't going to cost me to be down and out and ruminating and thinking about things I can't even change that happened 6 or 7 or 8, even 8 months ago? Or just, what does that look like? And how do I prevent myself in the end from not getting into those habits? How are those habits where I'm getting back to the old ways I was? And, I think that was a lot about my relationship with my medication too. When I was not taking it, was I would not take it because I didn't like feeling the normal self, I would say, and maybe I didn't give it a chance, and I didn't give it a chance to work. I'm starting to realize that too as time evolves, but I'm also realizing that I I was so miserable and I didn't want to feel that way, but I didn't give my chance to get out of that my own misery or not stay in somebody else's because I have in all those issues too. But getting out of that misery and actually finding what does make me happy, what makes me enjoy life for what it is in the moment, what makes me proud of who I am, what makes me the person that I am, what makes me happy, what am I going to do to get out of that negative, ruminative, uh, looping situation? What am I going to do in that instant? What am I going to do to get out of those thoughts that are just brewing constantly and are just looping over and over like a record? And how so, I can put the list together all I want, and I did put a good list together, but if I don't put that list to action, it's just not gonna work. And it's also finding, there can be list a million other places. You search for coping skills on the internet, you'll find all kinds of places, but you have to find the things that are going to work for you. And if you're not going to, if you know for a fact that you're not going to do the things that you say you're going to do, don't put them on there. Just don't. Because if you don't, they're not going to work. And, I was told that. And, I'm starting to pick through it. Even though I make a list, it's not set in stone. It's not concrete. Now, I know as autistic people, we like to have things that are concrete and set in stone. But for me, that's just it's not going to work. So it's, you have to know, what can I do in the instances where I'm getting into that thoughts process where it's becoming more negative and there's so much negative energy or there's negative situations. And that's also part of the wellness recovery action plan. How do I respond to things but not react? How do I set boundaries for myself so that I don't become vulnerable to reacting in a negative way? How do I stay in the positive light? How do I keep doing these things? But mainly a lot of that is, what do I do in any situation, and in a multitude of situations? What can I do to make me well? What can I do to get me out of that looping thought? How can I cope with the situations and the challenges that I'm facing and be positive about it and not be so miserable and out of disgust because I'm just down and out, and I pass that energy on to those I love, and they don't deserve that either. And I'm tired of doing that for so long, where the energy is just passed on to those I love, and they don't deserve that. And especially with everything that's been going on in my life, that doesn't need to be happening. Um, it just doesn't. And I really would regret doing that. But when you do things, as we know as autistic people, we do them, but we don't think about them sometimes. And then when we do them and we see the hurt, we feel the hurt, then we're very regretful about it. And it's challenging for us as autistic humans. It's just things that I don't want to find that is possible. I think, well, what about, this, that, or the other thing? And it can be very challenging. Um, but we do it. We press on, we get through it, we carry on and be the best person we can be, because I know, at least in the end, I don't know if anybody else knows, but in the end, I know that my mental health matters. And even though I might be struggling in that moment, I know I need to come out of it. And most of all, I need to live fabulous, fierce, and I need to end the day on a good note. Because if I don't end the day on a good note, it's just going to be very miserable for me. And it can be and not caring for myself at the end of the day by taking my medicine and doing what I need to do to stay well, just only sets me up for a very negative scenario. So I think that, and being resilient about it is important too. If things are rough and things are challenging, it's important not to beat yourself up about it, not to be self-critical about things that are rough in life. You have to give yourself grace. If I didn't give myself, I need to do that myself because I'm not giving myself grace often enough. Sometimes I'll say, "Oh, I didn't do this," or "I just did it because I had to do it," and I don't like it, but I do it. But I know that it's been a process, and even the 6 years that I've been living independently, even though it's not been perfect, it's been so much, and it's been a process. And now I'm realizing that I can actually enjoy life. And so part of that to enjoy life while being resilient is also having the coping skills necessary to get through the day, that when those negative thoughts are brewing and they're just nonstop, and all that past is coming up, and just so much going on in my head. And I know that the most important thing is having the coping skills necessary. So, with that being said, I want to thank you for listening today. I know it was a not long one, but it was very important. And I've been really working on it this week, and I plan to work on it more. Um, about the Wellness Recovery Action Plan. If you just go to wellnessrecoveryactionplan.com, you'll find out information about it. You can search millions of templates. I just did my own scratch because I'm that computer guy that loves to do stuff like that. But there's a lot of videos. You can find out a lot of stuff. It was authored by Mary Ellen Copeland, very, very renowned person, professional. She's from Massachusetts. There's been lots of you can YouTube it as well. Very good content, and it's really helping me see what's well, what's not well, and helping me get into the avenue of not having a relapse again. So if you haven't already, be sure to like and subscribe to this content. We love to have you. Tap a notification bell, or do all those things that you do to get to me. If you haven't already, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, X, Pinterest. That handles Dustin's Dynasty. I'm on the web. That web address is www.dustinsdynastyusa.com. And I'm on Linktree that has all my links. That handle is Dustin's Dynasty. Again, I want to thank you for listening. Let's try to have a good weekend. Let's not stay in those negative thoughts. Let's live the best life we can. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk at you soon. Bye for now.